hopefully you saw that. So there you go. So it's up at the top.
Thank
so you
you.
can just hit the little dismiss button so that it's gone.
Yep, I got mine. All right, so just like in your classroom, you know, a digital classroom, what are some norms that you want to reinforce with your students? Yep, muting mics and not talking. Thank you. Lots of feedback.
And if you don't know where the chat feature is, there's a little bar that comes up in the middle of your screen, and you'll see there's a little icon for conversation. So if you click on that, the chat window comes up on the right so that you can post if you'd like.
Oh, so first graders were sitting there with no parent to help them unmute once you mute them all. Okay. Yeah, so definitely doing, and anytime I used to use Blackboard all the time to teach online, and just going through and, you know, teaching them the functionality of the program before you teach them anything else. You know, how to chat, how to mute, how to unmute, that kind of stuff. Obviously, yeah, special needs, Dana, I mean, that's a huge issue going on right now. I know some parents are kind of acting like paraeducators at the moment, trying to help their students. Yep, proper behavior. We've seen some kids coming in some crazy outfits, so definitely trying to keep them. Kindergarten class, show and tell, parents don't know how to join. Right, yeah, so that's hard. So trying to figure out what it looks like on their end versus your end. It's a whole new world. I mean, we're all trying to figure out. So a couple things, and then I have some more on the next slide. So like reducing distractions for kids. So obviously on your end, stuff like, you know, Jane and I, if you didn't notice, we are not in the same room. We are not within a couple hours of each other. But, you know, something like, you know, putting up a virtual background and, you know, reducing distractions that way. Usually my puppy's jumping all over me. My daughter took him upstairs. So just trying to, you know, muting yourself, reducing any distractions. If your parents are, you know, walking around back and forth in the background, fixing breakfast, if you have a morning meeting, you know, teaching the kids how to do that kind of stuff, or just going into a more quiet room. Let's see. So Linda, yeah, and Shane, you can jump in. I don't think you can unmute all. I think you can mute all, and then people have to separately unmute them. Okay, yep, he just answered my question before I typed or said it. So setting up the lobby today after the earlier training didn't work. Okay, all right, so we can go through that. So how to make everybody go to the lobby? Catherine, I'm assuming that's what you're asking. So that way you have to accept people, because we've had issues in Baltimore County, even with like Google Meets, people trying to get in, and if they just have a random phone number, a random name, you don't know if they belong in your class, and then they come in and cause all sorts of havoc. Okay, David, I like that. Yeah, I wish that because I love Blackboard, and there used to be like a raise your hand feature, and I don't know that there is one in here. And all of our counties have different features as far as like chat goes and what you're allowed to do and not allowed to do. So they're definitely kind of going through. So have you had any issues with background? I know like our elementary school teachers, yeah, they're telling parents they're not supposed to be there because the parents are yelling out answers to questions and yelling at their kids for not talking and whatnot. So any suggestions for parents in the background?
And I'm not sure if you're in Charles County, because I'm from Calvert County, but I'm not sure if your lobby feature is disabled. But I can show you towards the end of the session today, because I really want to focus on assignments. So I can show it towards at the end how to make sure that you have the lobby option picked when you create a virtual meeting.
Yeah, we like our identical backgrounds. It makes me laugh. So the lobby is like when you first came in, it told me that you were waiting in the lobby. So if I knew that you were my student, and obviously we're all adults, so we admitted everybody, but if I was like, wait a minute, like this is, you know, my, you know, first period math class. Oh, Shane just went to the beach. Like if this is my first period math class and you're in my fourth period social studies class, you probably don't have anything to bring to my first period math class. I'm not going to let you in. So like Shane said, yeah, we can show you how to make people have to go to the lobby, which is, you know, a security thing for you all anyway.
All
And
right.
do you want to, Shane, a lot of people are asking, do you want to show them now?
I'll do it at the end because I want
Okay.
us to really jump into assignments for now, and then we'll.
Okay, so yeah, so background. So if you click the dot, dot, dot in the middle, is like when you hover, mine seems to always be up. You hover in the middle, if you don't see it, the where you can see like your chat and your video preferences, the more actions, and then show background effects. And no, I haven't gotten to the turn off chat notifications. I'll get to that next. I was just trying to answer the question. So show background effects. You can choose, they have a bunch of pre-set backgrounds, which are good, and then it blocks out anything other than pretty much yourself. I was in a meeting yesterday, we were celebrating people's birthdays in my office, and even somebody had a birthday hat on, and with a virtual background, you couldn't even see it. It literally like cuts you out. But if you move too fast, you can kind of see like my arm went away. But you know, I know some teachers were like, I don't have somewhere in my house really where I want to show all my kids what my house looks like. You can also blur it, which is nice. So just to make it fuzzy in the background. So up to you. There's some preset ones. I haven't tried to add in any of my own. Good. Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Shane. Okay, so the next one we were talking about chat. Oh, the next thing we're going to talk about were chat notifications. All right. So if you click on yourself in the upper right-hand corner, there is an option for settings. So you're not going to see mine because I'm not sharing that. But if you go to settings and then under notifications, you can turn your chat messages off. Because the first meeting I was in, there were over 100 people. And anytime somebody entered something in the chat, I got a notification in the bottom right-hand corner, even though I had the chat open and I could never type a new message because it's always popping up over where I would need to type. So that's like my favorite feature so far that I found in Teams, is just turning off that chat messages notification. Okay, and so Josh was talking about not seeing. So Josh, you talking about the not the backgrounds option? Okay, so I had this issue as well. I literally, like, I've learned so much just by being in meetings like this. So I had to go and download. So when I click to join a team, it usually gives me a little pop-up in my browser, and I just click like now. I actually clicked the download, and it downloaded Teams, and then it updated everything. And then the next time I joined a team, I was okay, because I couldn't even see myself. Like, I didn't see a thumbnail of myself in the bottom corner.
If you're on a school, if you're on a Charles County laptop, it's not updated, so you will not have backgrounds yet.
Okay.
So it's only if you're on your own personal machine and you've fully updated it, you'll have access. Or you might have to uninstall. If you're on your own, you might have to uninstall and reinstall Teams, and it should give you the latest update.
Yeah, I mean, they've been updating things. You know, Google's been updating things. Microsoft, everybody weekly, they're sending stuff out, because now that everybody's using things for education, they know that there's a lot more issues than what they originally designed these platforms for.
Yep. And thank you, Matthew. Yeah. So yeah, virtual backgrounds are not enabled on the web, so you have to download the actual Microsoft Teams desktop version.
Cool.
All right.
All right. So any other general questions? I think we had one more slide, right?
We didn't show the agenda for today, but
I thought we said. I know I clicked through. Oh, the meeting. You know what? We skipped through meeting protocols too. That's my bad. I think if I click any button on my computer, it was knocking me through. Yeah, sure, David. So yeah, so we already talked about muting your mic. Obviously, video. I'm sure you've seen. You know, there's the Saturday night skit. My boss showed a video yesterday about the guy who stands up in the middle of his Teams meeting or Zoom, and he's in his underwear and scratching his behind and everything else. Yeah, so definitely watch out for video and that kind of stuff. You know, don't take your device with you when you go. You know, trying to hold questions. Sometimes when you're presenting, you can't see the chat, sharing your whole screen. So yeah, the presenter might not be able to see the chat messages, and they might be going crazy and they can't. That's why, like, I like to tag team with Shane, so one of us can check the text or the chat, one of us can, you know, present. Yeah, everybody can see what you're chatting about. So yeah, yes, you can do like @ and then somebody's name, and you think that you're just talking to them. No, you're talking to everybody. You're just kind of, you know, tagging them in that.
all right. We ready?
Yep.
Okay. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take over, and we're going to jump right into Teams, and I'm going to be showing you some stuff tonight. I will be sharing a Google Drive with you at the end, and that's going to have some additional resources. Microsoft just posted a really beautiful visual guide with some really great pictures of kind of like all the different features in Teams. But tonight we're going to focus specifically on the really like posting in the general chat and channels and assignments. So I'm going to try to get through as much as I can with you in the time that we do have together. So, all right. So Amanda, can you see my screen up here?
Yep, you're good.
Okay, all right. So Amanda's gonna, if you have questions and things like that, we do have a Q&A section in that link that I posted. So the best thing to do is post your questions in the Q&A section, and that way we have some time at the end to answer them. And that way we can kind of focus our attention on the screen that I'm sharing, and I can show you as much as we can in the time that we have. I didn't really get to introduce myself earlier, so my name's Shane Wines, and I'm a teacher in Calvert County. I'm a high school computer science teacher. So I've used Microsoft Teams for the past 3 years. And I'm also part of the, I work directly with the Microsoft developers in trying to get new features added and different things like that. So, so hopefully I can help you tonight, and I will be staying a little bit later than the hour. So hopefully we can answer some more questions and things like that. So the first thing is I've created just a test class. I've called it Practice Team. So I want to show you some things, and I'll show you some things that the way students view things tonight. And then I'll also show you like some gradebook stuff just to be able to kind of get some quick assessment of if kids are even viewing assignments, if they're turning them in, and things like that. So the first thing that I want to do is I want to show you how to really change some settings with chat features. And I've had some teachers express to me that their students are just blowing up the general chat with GIFs and memes, and they're having side conversations and all kinds of crazy stuff. So I want to make sure that you can turn that stuff off. So that way you don't have to worry about trying to delete everything that kids post at 1 in the morning when you're sleeping and you wake up the next day. Because if you're like myself, I post agenda announcements to the students pretty much usually every day when I'm in the classroom, but even with this continuity learning, I've been posting the agendas in there. So I'm going to zoom in just a tiny bit, and a real quick way, if you're someone that you need to zoom in like to see it a little bit easier, if you hold Control and you use your middle mouse button, or if you hold Control and hit the plus or minus, you can zoom in if you're on the desktop version to make it a little bit easier to see things. So what I want to do is right here, you'll have your class name, and to the right of it, there is 3 ellipses. So it says, if you highlight over it, it says more options. So I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to go right here where it says Manage Team. And so I'm going to click on Manage Team, and you're going to see this come up, and there's a couple tabs up here at the top. And usually you'll see yourself and you'll see all your students, but because this is a practice team that I made, I don't have any students in this one. So what I want to go to is I want to go over to settings here. And there's a bunch of different options that you can do in settings. So a couple things, you could pick your theme, which would change your icon. And then you can go down to member permissions. So there's usually by default, a lot of this is turned off because we don't want our students to be able to delete channels or create channels. We only want, you only want to have the option to do that. We also don't want them to mess with tabs, like the tabs that would usually fly up at the top and everything. But you have this option right here where if your students post something inappropriate for a couple hours and then they delete it, you might not catch it, but other students might see it. And it could be something offensive, it could be something and so on that could cause a lot of issues. So what I usually do is I turn this off, because if a student posts something and I see it, I'm going to screenshot it. I'm going to then delete it right away, and then I'll send an email to my administration and let them know that they're posting something. But this way, you can't have kids like posting things at night and deleting them in the same night, because you might not know. Because when we're in virtual settings, a lot of times, we can't see everything. It's a lot harder than seeing something happen physically in our classroom. So I go ahead and I turn that off. I let them edit their messages. Again, though, they could create something and they could edit it and change it later. So that's up to you. If you don't want them to edit it, you could turn that off as well. The other thing that
Shane, hold up one sec. I don't see what you are clicking in that shows the original screenshot. I see where you're at in your practice team.
Okay.
So Christina, do you see like practice team at the top and then all like the check marks on the right-hand side?
Yeah. I was just saying you could take a screenshot of a student's message. So like a screenshot is just hitting print screen on your keyboard or using Windows Shift S, which is like a hotkey, to take a screenshot. There's no like button or thing that you can click on in here to take a screenshot of it. That's just hitting print screen or something like that. The only other thing I want to show you in here is right here where it says fun stuff. If I click on that, you can disable students from posting GIFs. Those are those animated pictures. You can disable them from posting stickers and memes, and also custom memes. This one I definitely always have turned off because they could get memes off the internet and all kinds of things. But these ones are pre-built. Like Teams has a whole like library of stickers and memes that are built in. So it depends how you set your standards for your classroom with your students, especially early on when you're starting out, setting your rules, your norms, or protocols for if students can use them at all. So you can also filter, but by default, this is set to strict, so you don't have to worry. Like, so it won't show, hopefully it won't show any offensive GIFs or anything like that. So you have those options as well. So I want to go into looking at the general chat. So by default, you have one channel that's created whenever you set your start to your class. So you have this general one. So to the right of general, there is also the 3 ellipses for more options. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that. And you're not given as many tabs this time. You're really just given some channel settings. So there's 3 options here. Now, if you're like me, I use the general chat to just post my lessons. So every day I would post a message and I'd say, hey, this is what we're doing today. So we're going to be reviewing a PowerPoint. We're going to be working on this assignment. I give out some directions. That way, if a student is absent in my class, they know to jump right into general chat and they can read what we did the day before in class. And that works the same with this continuity learning. You could, like in Calvary County, I post twice a week for my lessons. So I've been posting twice a week in the general chat. This is what we did on Tuesday, and this is what we're doing on Thursday. So I don't want the students to be able to post in the general chat. I only want them to be able to read my messages. So I changed my option to only owners can post messages, because that way it's not getting flooded with a ton of messages and they can't read what the agenda was from yesterday or maybe from last week. Maybe I have a couple students, they didn't do anything for 3 weeks, and I posted grades because we got an update on grades. And I started posting grades, and they're like, oh, Mr. Wines, I'm sorry, like I've been sleeping for the past 3 weeks or playing video games. So now they're doing work. So they could go back easily and see what we've been doing. So by default, it's set to anyone can post, but I changed the general chat. Now you can create all kinds of extra channels. So to easily create a channel, I just click on right across from a classroom. I click on the 3 ellipses and I click add channel. So I'm going to go ahead and add a channel with you and just kind of show you there's some really cool settings that you could do with it. So I might have a channel called discussion posts. And I could have a description and say, this is where we're gonna have our daily discussion, or maybe I have journal entries. You can have a lot of different things. So I want to make sure it says automatically show this channel in everyone's channel list, so my students will see it. But you don't need to change anything with privacy. But I'm going to go ahead and click add, and you'll see that it always puts it usually puts them in alphabetical order, except for general is always at the top. So general will always be the top, and then whatever you create. So I've seen some teachers, they put like the letter A in front, or they put like a number 1 or 2. They number them. That way they can keep them organized for the students depending on what they want. So I want to show you just some settings with your channels, and then we're going to jump into assignments. One thing to also notice is my tabs change when I'm in a different channel. So if I'm in the general one, you'll notice I have posts, files, class, notebook, assignments. A common troubleshooting tip is students are sitting in one of these different channels and they're like, Mr. Wines, I don't see the assignment tab. I know assignments is over here to the left, but I don't see it up here at the top. Quick thing, I just tell them, are you in the general channel or are you in a different channel? And then they're like, oh, okay, I wasn't in the general channel. So they will not see this assignments or their grades if they're not in general. So if you're in any other channel, these channels have their own file section and they have their own notes section as well. And you can add different things in here. I might have forms or different things going on. So if I'm looking at this channel and I click on the three ellipses and I go ahead and click on Manage Channel, there's some really cool stuff that you could do here. I want to make it so that only myself as the teacher, that I can create posts and only my students can reply to them. They cannot create their own brand new posts. They're only allowed to reply to things that I create. So I might have a journal entry or a discussion post to see how the kids are doing and things like that. And I only want them to reply. So right here where it says channel moderation, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click on. And right here, my options change down here. So it says allow members to reply to channel messages. So as the instructor, I create a channel message, they can only reply. So I'm going to go ahead and I can just turn these off because you're not going to use any bots unless you have apps installed, but that's more of an advanced topic. And we don't need to use connectors as well. So if you just have allow members to reply, that's all they can do. And we changed the moderators are just the owner, which if you highlight over, it shows all the owners. So I'm the only owner of this classroom. So this way, if I click on here and I make something like, you know, what's your favorite color or anything, and I submit it, the students cannot create a brand. This is going to be grayed out, but all they're going to be able to do is reply. So it's kind of really nice. And if you want to have some quick discussion board posts, you want to have some quick ways to talk to your students, you can have them, when they reply, they can insert a picture, and it depends what you have enabled. If you have stickers and emojis and GIFs, they can also do those too. So so that's pretty much it with channels for now. There is more things with that, but I'm not going to jump into too much more with that piece. There is one more thing I want to show you that I apologize. There is one more thing I want to show you with channels, and then we'll jump into assignments. If you wanted to create a quick poll or survey for your students in any one of these channels, even in the general channel, any one you want, if you go down to the bottom, you have all of these different icons. You can format things, you can insert attachments or pictures, things like that. There's a lot you can do, but if you go over to it's down here at the bottom, so it might be a little hard to see on your screen, but it says messaging extensions. If you click on these three ellipses, you're going to get a couple suggestions for apps. So if I click on forms is a way that I can do some quick polls and surveys. So I'm going to show you again real quick down here at the conversation. If you click on messaging extensions, this window pops up and we have forms. So I'm going to click on forms, and I can go ahead and quickly just create a poll and ask the kids what they're doing. So how are you feeling about the upcoming test? And I can give some options, so grades, or maybe just happy, sad, whatever we want to put in. So just showing you some examples. I could have multiple answers. I could add in multiple options. But once you've created your question and whatever selections, go ahead and hit next. It's going to show you a preview of how it's going to look for your students. And then you go ahead and hit send. And you give it a couple seconds, and it's actually going to pop up. And it looks like it's popping up in the background right now. So so the students will see that a poll has been created right inside of the channel. And they go ahead and they just click whatever option and they hit submit votes. And the students will see what the tallies are right away.
Hey, Shane.
Yes.
Quick question. So if you have a form that you've previously created, can you insert that?
Yes, but you can't insert it into here because this is a way creating it, but you can do it in the assignment tab. So we'll jump into assignments and I'll show you that first thing.
Thanks. So, I'm monitoring the Google Doc and the chat, so that one was in the Google Doc.
Absolutely. So, okay. So let's go into the assignment tab now. And there are two ways that students can get into their assignments. On the left-hand side, they could click on assignments. Now, this could show assignments for all of their classes. So if they're trying to see what assignments they have to complete, I usually tell the kids, if you're in my class, you're trying to work on an assignment in my class, to go into our class and then click on assignments up at the top. So you're going to come into the assignment tab and you have three things here. You have drafts where you could create an assignment and maybe you don't want to publish it to the students, so you could save it for later. And I'll show you how that looks. You've also got what's been assigned, and also if you fully graded an assignment, they would be in that tab there. So I'm going to go ahead and create an assignment with you and show you how that works and go over all the different features inside of the assignment tab. So when you click on this, you have three different things that you can choose from. You can go ahead and create just a standard assignment. You can upload files and make a rubric and assign points and things like that. You also have quiz. So someone asked about how I could insert a previously created quiz. And also, if you've maybe you made an assignment last year, or you made an assignment for another class and you decided you want to use it in this class, you can easily kind of import that into this class as well. So real quickly, I want to show you quiz, and then we'll jump into a standard assignment. So with quiz, you have a couple different options. You can create a brand new form, and Microsoft Forms is, if you've used like Google and things like that, it's just their version of creating some quick quizzes. And I went ahead and if you look, the one that I posted in the general chat, it's actually saved here. So I can go back and I could use this later on as well. And I got some other random practice ones that I had in there too. So, but you could create a brand new form. If you click new form, it's going to open up a tab on your browser like Google Chrome. And it's going to, if you're not logged into Office 365, it's going to ask you to log into Office 365. And then you'll make the form in that tab, and then it will sync, it'll save in here. But if you already have one made, it's pulling it from Microsoft Forms that's in your Office 365 account. So I made one the other day, practice quiz number 1. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to insert this one in for you. And you'll notice right away that it's actually making it as an assignment. So the students, once I publish this or assign it, they're going to see it and they're going to be able to quickly take the test. Now, also the beautiful thing is they're not, when they click on this quiz to take it, it's not going to take them to a website to do it. They're actually going to take the quiz inside of Microsoft Teams. They'll submit it inside of Microsoft Teams as well. So there's a couple things, and I apologize if I'm talking a little quick. I want to make sure that we can get through a lot of different features, and we will send you the video for this, so you can go back and watch this at any time. So I want to make sure we can get through some stuff with you, and we'll have some time for the Q&A at the end. So I went ahead and I just, it automatically filled out practice quiz number 1 as the title, because that was the title of the quiz that I made in Microsoft Teams. So I could say complete all questions and hit submit. So I just put some directions in. You can actually post, there's a lot of really cool features you can do when you're writing your directions for an assignment. I can do some formatting, some highlighting. I can bullet my list. Maybe I have like 3 or 4 directions, for them. Or I can insert a link. Maybe I want them to go watch a video on YouTube before they start. So I've got my practice quiz. I can change it if I need to. I can assign this to multiple classes. So maybe I want all 6 of my classes to take the same quiz. So this little icon right here, it's like the 2 little windows. If I click on this icon, it's going to bring up all of your classes. So I have a lot of classes. I actually teach more than 6 classes. So I have some students that sit in as independent studies in my other classes, so I have a lot more here than you may have. Especially if you're an elementary school teacher, you have one class. But maybe you're special education and you have a couple teachers, maybe you're an art elective teacher where you have multiple sections, then you're gonna have multiple classes on here. So you can click every one of them, and you'll notice when I click on one, it's actually gonna start updating it over here on the left. So it says 2 classes, 3 classes, 4 classes, and so on. So you'll know, and it shows them bolded, so you know which ones you've already clicked on, and it also has a check mark. So I can click, I'll click off of them because I don't want my AP students to send me emails tonight and say, Mr. Wines, why is there a random practice quiz in my assignments tab? So I'm only going to publish it in this practice one. You can also change the dates that you want to do, the time. Now, what's really great is this feature right here called All Students. Maybe I have a student that has special accommodations, or I want to do a little bit of scaffolding with them, and I want to kind of see what they know so far, and that way I can provide some further assistance. You can click this little plus icon, and you can actually click on specific students. Now, I don't have any students in this classroom, so I'm not going to see any, or in this Teams, but maybe I want 4 students out of my 30 or 30 plus students in our class to take this quiz, because I want to check, maybe I have an ELL student and I'm trying to help them with some vocabulary, so I want to do some vocabulary practice with them. You could click on those 4 students and let them know that you put a practice quiz in them for some terminology or vocabulary, and then only they would see it, not the other 26 students in the class. You also have the last feature here is this edit feature. And you can schedule a quiz and you can make it post. So maybe it's late at night and you're getting everything ready for the next day, and you don't want to have to worry about trying to post something at 8 a.m. in the morning. You want to give kids as much time to take a quiz as possible. You could schedule to assign in the future, so you could pick the future date and time for that. I never mess with close date because I'm always trying to give students as many reassessment opportunities as possible. So I don't really, close date means they can't even open it. It's going to lock them from being able to take the quiz, do the assignment, and so on. The due date is nice to just kind of see where kids are, if they're on track. I have kids that will submit an assignment 2 weeks late, and it's nice to have a due date because when we look at it later on, it will say this was submitted 12 days later, or it was submitted 5 days later, or 24 hours later. So you have those features. So for now, I'm going to keep these off because we're going to go ahead and post this. The last thing I didn't talk about is points. Now, when you're using Microsoft Forms, it's not going to show points. It's not going to show points here because the students are going to take this practice quiz, but the only way that you're going to be able to see their point value is, and I'm going to bring over my, hopefully you can see this. Amanda, can you tell me, can you guys see my Microsoft Forms?
Yep, you're good.
Okay, so in your Office 365, when you click on the or the ellipsy big box up at the top, you've got forms over here on the side. So when I click on forms, it'll take you to all the forms you've ever created. And since I'm creating a test called Practice Quiz 1, you can see it's right here as this form. Once your students take it and they submit it, the way that you show, or you see the responses, and you'll see that there'll be a number here. You'll click on it, and then you'll click on responses here. And you'll see their scores, you'll see all the different answers they have. It gives you like a really nice breakdown, like a graph, and shows it. You can also open it in Excel and so on. So it's a sad face right now, it doesn't have any responses. You can also delete all the responses, so maybe you want to reuse this form next year or next semester, and things like that. You do have that option. Now, the really nice thing with forms, and I'm going to hit the back button back to this main screen, you can share forms with other teachers. You also can make collaborative forms. So I could create a form and I could share it with 5 other teachers, and we could make a test together. I also could make one and just share it with people so they have their own copy, and so on. So you'll see those options in there for that. All right, so that is it for forms for right now. If there is a chance you want a webinar more on forms in the later on, let us know in the in the Q&A section that you would want some more training with that. I'm going to go ahead and hit assign on this. If you notice right here, I have this save feature. This will actually save it in the drafts, or I could discard it. I could delete it. So I'm going to go ahead and hit assign. And you'll notice that now the practice quiz has been assigned to students. You'll also notice that I have a notification here under general. So if I click on that, you'll notice the students now see right in the general chat, they have a quiz. And that's also the other beauty about if you limit the general chat just for like assignment directions or the agenda, this won't get too flooded and the students will always know, hey, the general chat is where my assignments and my daily agenda posts are going to be at. So I'm going to go back to the assignments tab, and we're going to go ahead and create just a normal assignment and have some time to kind of to talk about these. So you're going to start off, and it's going to look very similar to the other one, the forms or the quiz feature that we just did. So I can just go ahead and create a practice assignment, and let me zoom in just a tiny bit, so hopefully you can see it a little bit better. So practice assignment number 1, I'm just going to call it that. You can add a category, but I never use the categories. Maybe you have a bunch of assignments for Unit 1. And Unit 1 is all about you're writing sentence, or you're practicing sentence structures, or maybe you're doing multiplication or something. So you might have you might create a category for all those different types of assignments, so you can easily access them. So then you have some instructions. So please, I can write whatever you want in there. Please read the directions located in the assignment below. And then you can add resources. So you can add all kinds of resources, PowerPoints, links, Microsoft Word documents, PDFs. There's a lot of different things. And when you click on the when you click on the Add Resources button, you're going to have a couple ways that you can access your files. If you have all of your stuff in your OneDrive, you can access from there. If you just want to give them a YouTube link, you can go ahead and put that in there. But I did notice something. If I just type in youtube.com and I go ahead and I click to put my text, it actually causes an error. So you need to make sure that you have HTTPS and then you have www.youtube.com, and you'll notice it doesn't give you an error. You also can, if you go to youtube.com on a Google browser and you copy the hyperlink up at the top, you can then paste it in and it will not cause an error. So it'll be perfectly fine. So if you want the students to maybe view a website or view a video, you can post a link in there. You can also create a brand new file. So maybe you want to create a Word document that you want your students to type in. You want them to respond to a prompt or different things. You can do this. Now, if you create a brand new Word document, it's going to go into your teacher OneDrive. So you'll see a folder that will get automatically created in your OneDrive. And usually it has like the class name as the folder name, and that file will be in there. You can also import things from different teams. So I can grab something from a different team's channel. And you can also, if you're a little bit old school and you want to keep all your stuff on your desktop or in your downloads folder, or maybe you just downloaded something you want to share with the students, you can also do it from there, and you can pick downloads, or you can still pick OneDrive. So I went ahead and I created a practice assignment in my OneDrive, and I called it Practice Assignment 1. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click on it, and you'll notice it has a check mark next to it, and I'm going to hit attach. And this is a troubleshooting technique that we want to make sure that you really that you double check before you give it to the kids, because they cannot edit it by default. So whatever you put in, for some reason, it's going to say students can't edit. So there was a little blue bar, like an uploading bar, and it's already finished uploading. So you usually want to wait till that's uploaded. I know that I gave the kids like an 80 megabyte file one time, and it took a good 30 seconds to upload. So I had to wait, depending on your internet connection. So over here on, there's 3 ellipses over to the right of the resource that I uploaded. And it's got a little option here. It says students edit their own copy. you want to make sure that you click that, and you'll notice that it changed here. It says students can now edit their copy. So the beautiful thing is when the kids open up an assignment, they can type right into the assignment, and it will be auto saving. And then when they're finished it, they just close the assignment and hit turn in. And I will show you, I'm going to show you how it looks for students when they go to click on an assignment. So the next feature is I can make the assignment worth a certain amount of points. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to make this one out of 6 points. And you can create your own rubrics. In our Tuesday session, a teacher asked, I do not want to give point values to any of my assignments because I'm a special ed teacher. If you do not have a point system, you cannot add a rubric, or it's going to yell at you if you try to add a rubric. So you could just add points and just tell the kids that the points don't mean anything, but to add a rubric, you got to have some kind of point value set to it. So I'm going to go ahead and set it to 6 points, and I'm going to click on the add rubric feature. So if you have tons of rubrics already made, you're going to see them all on this list here. You can search for a rubric by name. You can upload a rubric, but it has to be a .csv. I have not played with this feature, so I haven't really messed with it much, but I will post a website link in the Google Drive that I'm going to share with you guys at the end and show you how to do that. So if you have some rubrics from like a different learning management system or ones that you've created, hopefully a way that you can easily transfer them over. You also can create a brand new rubric. So I'm going to show you how that looks, and then we're going to show you ones that we've already uploaded. So when you click on a brand new rubric, you're given this window here, and you can go ahead and make it so that it's worth points. You can give it a title, you can give it a description, and then you can also give it some different grading criteria. So you might have some options over here. You're looking at for specific things in the assignment, and then I'm someone that I don't really like there to be ever poor or fair for a rubric. I try to keep it to 2 or 3, but you can delete criteria if you would like. You could go ahead and copy a column, and you could edit it as well. So I can go ahead and I could change my point values. So maybe I want to have this one worth 3 points and the other one worth 2. I can create a brand new description. So I can hit this little plus button. So maybe I'd have another one worth 3 points and another worth 2. And I want each of the descriptions to be worth 50 points. So if this is going to be, my assignment's going to be out of 6 points total, this description would be 3 points or 50% of it, and this one would be worth 3 points or 50. And you can click this button and it would help with evenly redistributing it. So let me show you one that I've already made, and it'll tell you. So yeah, I'm not worried about this one. So I'm going to go ahead and click add a rubric again, and I made one earlier on. So I'm going to go ahead and I selected it, and I'm going to hit next. So it's always going to confirm. It's going to give you a chance to edit the rubric before you attach it. So you'll see I went ahead and I named it practice rubric number 1, and I just gave it a description. And this practice assignment is a simple writing assignment. So they need to practice some sentence structure, and they need to make sure that they've identified an object and gave an explanation why. So something very basic. And I went ahead and I'm using 3 points for if I think it's excellent, and I would enter in some criteria. I did not do that, but you would want to do that if you're given a rubric, and then what would be the criteria for if it was good. So I would go ahead and hit attach, and you'll notice now that it's attached it, and it shows it over here confirming that your practice rubric number 1 is there. So we've already went over these other features down here at the bottom. So we have practice team, where I can go ahead and I can do multiple classes. I can assign it to individual students. I can set my date due, the time. I can also set it for a later date. So I'm going to go ahead and hit assign, and I want to show you a couple things of how it looks for a student. So you'll notice under assigned, it's here, but it's also posted in the general chat. So I've got my practice quiz, I've got the practice assignment. So students can click on it from here, where it says view assignment, or they can click it in the assignment tab. So I'm going to go ahead and click it here. It takes me to the exact same page. So Typically, you're going to see all your students over here on the left. So I want to show you real quickly another classroom. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click on one of my classes. And please don't hate on me if the students haven't turned them in, because some assignments they have not. So I'm going to go ahead and click on just a sample assignment. So you're going to see all of your students. You'll see when they turned it in. You also see if they have not turned it in. So turned in 13 hours late, 4 days late, turned it in, not turned it in. I've got some kids that have not been doing their assignments, their virtual assignments. So you've got that there. Also, if it's graded, you can give feedback and so on. So I'm going to go back to our practice class for now and go back into this assignment. So you'll see mine's blank for now. At any time, you can edit the assignment just by clicking Edit Assignment, and you can add additional files. When I'm doing projects, a lot of the times I like to keep the same assignment, and I'll scaffold out a project. So I'll include one file, and then maybe a couple of days later, I'll add the second file for the students, or the third file, and so on. That way you don't have to keep creating multiple assignments for a project. So maybe there are 4 parts to the project and you want to keep adding. So you can certainly do that. I highly recommend it. It makes it easy to keep it all in one place for the students. I'm going to hit cancel because I don't have to do anything with that. So now we can actually look at how it looks for the student. So I'm going to go ahead and click on Student View. So when a student clicks on an assignment, they're going to be brought to this window. So it's going to go ahead and show the name. It's going to show when it's due, the instructions, any student work. Now, if I include a PDF, it's going to have something called Student Resources right here. So it will have 2 different categories. Under Student Resources, it's pretty much anything they can't edit. It's anything that is used as a resource, like links, PDFs, things like that. Student Work is going to show anything they can click on and actually edit. So they're going to have, if you have PowerPoints or if you have a Word document and so on. They can also click on the rubric and they can see what they're supposed to do. So this shows exactly how to get maximum points on the assignment. So the students can click on that and they can see how much its points are. You've got the immersive reader button. So if we got an ELL student and they need to know what the directions are for the assignment, they can click on immersive reader over here. Now, there's a couple things as a teacher we can't see, and I want to show you on a website because there's a couple things that are not shown. So I'm going to bring over this website, and I want to show you, this link is in the Google Doc, so I'll show you just what it looks like. So I'm going to zoom in specifically on this image here, and you can't see it on the screen. You can't see it as an instructor in Microsoft Teams. But underneath of their work, it actually has another button, has a little plus sign, and it says My Work. So students can actually upload their own files. So it might be that you don't provide a file for them to actually type in. Maybe it's an art class and you provided a PDF as for instructions of what to do, but then in those instructions you say, make sure to upload a picture or upload a video of what you've created or of your drawing or of your artwork. So the students would click Add Work, and then from there they can upload their own file into the assignment. As a computer science teacher, I have the kids share their programs all the time, so they'll share them as a link. So they'll click the little add sign and they'll share it as a link. So there's a lot of different things, different ways. So kids can upload their own attachments into your assignments. So, so you'll see that there. So you will have this website that has that too in there. So that would have showed right here on the bottom. We just don't see it on there. All right, so we've got a practice assignment. The last thing I want to show you, and I know we're going to try to get into a Q&A, we're running out of time, but I want to show you how to quickly give feedback to a student. So I want to go back to one of my other classes that has students in there. So I'm going to go ahead and click on an assignment, and I'm going to go to a student, and I'm actually going to click on their assignment. So one of my students, Sierra, she turned in the assignment. So this tells me she's ready to be graded. And so I went ahead and clicked on the assignment, and it actually pops up right here in the window. So This was a very quick, basic assignment. I really just wanted to test that the kids could get into Teams, they could open up an assignment, and they could type into it. So I included these little, this kind of some directions on, hey, make sure the edit button, that you were able to edit it. I also included, hey, make sure you hit the turn in button on this assignment when you're done. It was just kind of a prompt there. But in this assignment, the students had to watch some videos and answer some questions. Very basic, just wanted get some practice. So there's two ways that you can give feedback. Over here on the right side, you can see when the student turned it in. You can actually see the first time they viewed the assignment. You can see when I assigned it. You can see when they turned it in and when it was actually due. So you get a little bit of history on when they're completing it. If it was a multiple file assignment where they had to write in different files, maybe it's a project or something, there would be multiple files here and you could easily click on them and they would load over here. So I can give feedback right here in this feedback box. A common issue that teachers do, they hit this return button afterwards. You do not have to hit return. Whatever I type in this box here, it automatically saves it. So when I'm done giving feedback, all you have to do is hit the close button. If I hit return, it actually returns the assignment to the student. The student says, hey, why has my assignment been turned in? And returned back to me, did I do something wrong? And then now if a kid didn't complete the assignment, I might give them some feedback and say, hey, you didn't answer questions 5 through 9. I'm returning the assignment to you. Please complete that at your earliest convenience. And then I would hit the return button. I can also score it as well. Now there's one other way that you can do feedback, and this is a little bit more advanced, but it's up to you if you want to. I can give feedback inside of the actual assignment. So right here where it says edit document, I can go ahead, and the easiest way I recommend is clicking the edit in browser. So this is actually going to open up your student's assignment, and I'm now in their live version, what they typed in. You can see that my student answered the question right here. Now, I do usually recommend, I say, hey, I recommend my students always answer their responses in a different color font. If you want to do that with your students, you're recommended. It's up to you. If you make it easier so you can see their answers versus the questions. She didn't do it in this one, but that's okay. So maybe I want to respond to one of her. One of her answers. So I can highlight over her response or answer, and right here where it says new comments, I can go ahead and give her a comment. And I'm just gonna, for the simple, I'm just gonna say great job. This is not really great feedback by any means, but just to give you an example. You'll notice I've highlighted the response, and I go ahead and I hit that. And so when she goes to check her work, maybe she got a 4 out of 5 on something, and I gave her a comment on why she got a question wrong. She can actually go in and look at this assignment and say, oh, okay, I didn't realize I forgot to answer that question, or I answered it wrong. And she can actually reply to my comments as well if she wanted to. You can also highlight over something and click insert at the top and add your comments. It's the same thing. It's just up to you. But if you go ahead and you just highlight, you'll notice and you'll see new comments is there. So I can go ahead and add a comment. I can exit out if I don't want to use it, or I can delete the comments as well. So maybe I don't want them, maybe I messed up on the comment or it's no longer needed and I can delete it. So that is some ways that you can give some quick feedback individually to students. When you're done giving feedback, you don't have to hit save. It automatically saves it, and you would just hit close. And if you want to be a little bit more, you want to give emojis. So if you're an elementary school teacher and you're someone that usually does smiley faces or stamps off on their assignments, maybe you want to go ahead and you want to add in an emoji up at the top, and you can make the emoji much larger for the kids. So maybe you want to give them a little happy face, and that maybe that's the way that you grade your assignment. So you have that as well as an option. Okay, so we're running out of time, and I want to make sure that we have these last couple minutes for the Q&A section, and I want to share the Google Drive link with you. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put that up, and let's take these last couple of minutes to participate in the Q&A section that was in where you put your attendance. And if you look up here on my screen, you'll see if you want to go ahead and bookmark this link, This is a Google Doc or Google folder that has a bunch of links and resources to help you with learning Microsoft Teams and all the different features and so on. So, all right.